The stars above Earth twinkled like diamonds scattered across a black velvet sky. It was a peaceful night, the kind that made people feel small yet connected to something vast and infinite. But peace never lasts forever. In a quiet observatory nestled in the mountains of Colorado, Emily Dawson sat hunched over her computer screen. Her fingers tapped rhythmically on the keyboard as she analyzed data streaming in from a powerful telescope. Emily wasn't just any astronomer. She had a knack for spotting things others missed. Tonight, however, what she found chilled her to the bone. A series of strange signals pulsed through space, unlike anything she'd ever seen before. They weren't random bursts or natural phenomena. They were deliberate. Someone, or something, was sending messages, and they were getting closer. Emily hesitated for only a moment before picking up her phone. She dialed the number of Ryan Carter, an astronaut who had returned to Earth 6 months ago after a mission aboard the International Space Station. He was smart, calm under pressure, and someone she trusted completely. "Ryan, you need to see this," Emily said when he answered, her voice trembling slightly. "I think we're not alone anymore." Within hours, Ryan arrived at the observatory. His sharp eyes scanned the monitors as Emily replayed the signals. Lines of code danced across the screen, forming patterns that seemed almost threatening. "What do you think it means?" Ryan asked, his tone serious. "I don't know yet," Emily admitted. "But whatever it is, it's moving fast. If my calculations are right, it'll reach our solar system within days." Before either of them could say more, alarms blared throughout the facility. Red lights flashed as automated systems detected an object entering Earth's vicinity. Not one object, hundreds. A fleet of ships, massive and menacing, appeared on radar screens around the globe. News spread quickly. Governments scrambled to respond. Panic erupted among civilians as images of the alien armada filled television screens and social media feeds. The ships were enormous, their metallic surfaces glinting ominously in the sunlight. At the front of the formation flew a vessel larger than any aircraft carrier, its design both sleek and terrifying. From this flagship emerged a transmission broadcasted worldwide. The face of Warlord Varnock materialized on every screen, a towering figure with glowing red eyes and jagged armor. His voice boomed, deep and cold, demanding surrender. "Humans," Varnock began, his words translated instantly by advanced algorithms. "Your planet will bow to the Krylos dominion. Resist, and you will be destroyed." Fear gripped the world. Riots broke out in cities. Leaders convened emergency meetings, but no one knew how to fight back against such overwhelming power. Humanity had never faced an enemy like this. Meanwhile, Ryan and Emily were summoned to a secret underground base outside Washington, D.C. There, they'd met Dr. Alan Parker, a historian specializing in ancient civilizations. His office walls were lined with maps, artifacts, and diagrams of long-lost cultures. "You two have been chosen because of your skills," Dr. Parker explained. "We believe there may be a way to defend ourselves, but it's buried deep in Earth's history." He pulled out a dusty map marked with symbols and coordinates. Legends speak of a forgotten human civilization that once ruled the stars. They built a fleet so powerful it could rival anything in the galaxy. That fleet might still exist, if we can find it. Ryan stared at the map, his mind racing. Was this their only hope? Could humanity really stand a chance against monsters from the stars? Emily nodded slowly, determination hardening her expression. "Then we don't have much time," she said. "Let's get to work." As the three of them prepared to dive into the mystery of Earth's past, the shadow of the Krylos fleet loomed ever closer. The clock was ticking, and failure meant extinction. The underground base buzzed with activity. Scientists, engineers, and military personnel moved quickly through the dimly lit corridors, their faces tense with urgency. Ryan Carter stood at the center of it all, staring at a large screen displaying the Krylos fleet hovering ominously near Earth's orbit. Each ship was a monolith of steel and shadow, bristling with weapons that could obliterate entire cities in seconds. Dr. Alan Parker spread out ancient documents on a table nearby. Maps, sketches, and faded texts covered every inch of the surface. He adjusted his glasses and pointed to one particular map marked with strange symbols. "These are coordinates," he said. "They lead to an underwater site off the coast of Japan. If the legends are true, this is where the ancients hid their fleet." Emily Dawson leaned over the map, her brow furrowed in concentration. "How do we know this isn't just a myth?" she asked. Her voice was calm, but her hands trembled slightly as she traced the markings. "We don't," Dr. Parker admitted. "But right now, it's our only shot. The Krylos have given us 3 days to surrender. After that, they'll attack. We need answers before then." Ryan crossed his arms, his jaw tightening. "If there's even a chance this is real, we can't ignore it. I'll lead the expedition." The team worked through the night, preparing submersibles and equipment for the dive. By dawn, they were aboard a research vessel heading toward the designated location. The ocean was calm, its surface reflecting the pale morning light. But beneath the waves lay uncertainty, and possibly salvation. As they approached the coordinates, Emily studied sonar readings from the ship's control room. A faint outline appeared on the screen, a massive structure buried under layers of sediment. "There's something down there," she whispered, her heart racing. "It matches the descriptions in the texts." Ryan suited up alongside a small team of divers, including Lieutenant Kate Monroe, a skilled marine engineer. Together, they climbed into the submersibles and descended into the depths. The water grew darker as they plunged deeper, the sunlight fading into an eerie blue twilight. At last, the structure came into view. It was enormous, shaped like a dome with intricate carvings etched into its surface. Strange symbols glowed faintly, pulsing with a soft light. Ryan's breath caught in his throat. This wasn't just a ruin. It was alive, waiting. "Let's go inside," he said, his voice steady despite the weight of the moment. The team maneuvered the submersibles closer, using robotic arms to clear away debris blocking the entrance. Once inside, they found themselves in a vast chamber filled with towering machines and consoles. Everything looked impossibly advanced, far beyond anything humanity had ever created. "This must be it," Emily said, her voice echoing in the silence. She approached a central console, its surface covered in glowing panels. "If we can activate this, maybe we can learn more." For hours, she worked tirelessly, deciphering patterns and inputting commands based on the ancient texts. Finally, the console hummed to life. Holographic projections sprang into existence, showing images of starships and battles long past. A recorded message began to play, spoken in a language no one understood, but the translation software quickly rendered it into English. "Greetings, descendants," the voice said. "We built these vessels to protect the galaxy from those who would seek to destroy it. Use them wisely." Ryan felt a surge of hope and responsibility. These ships were real. They were humanity's last chance. But time was running out. High above the ocean, the Krylos fleet loomed closer, their weapons charging. Warlord Varnak's patience was thinning. Earth's fate hung by a thread. Back on the research vessel, Dr. Parker monitored communications from NASA. "The Krylos are moving faster than expected," he reported grimly. "They'll reach Earth within 48 hours. Ryan clenched his fists. "Then we'd better get these ships ready," he said, "because if we don't, none of us are walking away from this." As the team worked feverishly to unlock the secrets of the ancient fleet, the pressure mounted. Failure meant extinction, not just for humanity, but for countless other species across the galaxy. And deep down, Ryan knew one thing for certain. The fight for survival was about to begin. The chamber was alive with light and sound. Holograms flickered around the team, showing scenes of battles fought among the stars. Ships clashed in fiery explosions, and planets burned under relentless attacks. The recorded voice continued, explaining the purpose of the fleet. It had been built to defend the galaxy against threats like the one humanity now faced. Ryan stepped closer to the console, his eyes scanning the projections. "This is real," he muttered, more to himself than anyone else. "These ships, they're our only hope." Emily worked quickly, her fingers flying over the glowing panels. She was piecing together fragments of information from the ancient system. Every discovery brought both excitement and fear. The technology was far beyond anything she'd ever encountered, but its complexity made it difficult to understand. Lieutenant Kate Monroe joined her, examining a nearby machine. "Look at this," Kate said, pointing to a series of symbols on the side. "It looks like some kind of activation sequence." Emily nodded. "If we can figure out how to power up these ships, we might stand a chance." Her voice wavered slightly, betraying the weight of the task ahead. Dr. Parker remained on the surface, coordinating with the research vessel's crew. He relayed updates about the Krylos fleet, which was growing closer by the hour. "We don't have much time," he warned over the comms. "Their scouts are already probing Earth's defenses." Back in the underwater chamber, Ryan took charge. "We need to focus," he said firmly. "Emily, keep working on the console. Kate, see if you can find any power sources. We've got to get these ships online before it's too late." The team split up, each member tackling a different part of the massive structure. As they explored, they uncovered more wonders. Rows of cryogenic pods lined the walls, their glass surfaces fogged with age. Inside, figures lay motionless, ancient humans preserved in suspended animation. Were they the builders of the fleet, or its crew? Kate called Ryan over to a large doorway at the far end of the chamber. Beyond it lay a docking bay filled with sleek, futuristic ships. Their designs were unlike anything Earth had ever produced. Sleek hulls gleamed even in the dim light, and weapon systems bristled along their frames. "These must be the fighters," Ryan said, awe evident in his voice. "But how do we wake them up?" Emily's voice crackled through the comms. "I think I've found something," she exclaimed. "There's a central core here. It seems to control everything. If I can reboot it, maybe the entire fleet will come online." Ryan hurried back to her side. The core pulsed with energy, its surface covered in intricate patterns. Emily worked carefully, inputting commands based on the holographic instructions. The process was slow, and every second felt like an eternity. Above the ocean, the situation grew dire. The Krylos sent a warning message to Earth, broadcasting it globally. Warlord Varnock appeared once again, his red eyes blazing with fury. "Your time is almost up," he declared. "Surrender now, or face annihilation." Fear gripped the world. Cities emptied as people fled to underground shelters. Governments pleaded for calm, but chaos reigned. The alien fleet moved closer, their weapons primed for destruction. Beneath the waves, Emily finally succeeded. With a loud hum, the core roared to life. Lights flooded the chamber, and the ships in the docking bay began to stir. One by one, their engines ignited, bathing the water in a soft blue glow. "It's working," Emily shouted, relief washing over her face. "The fleet is waking up." Ryan clenched his fists, determination hardening his expression. "Good work," he said. "Now we just need to figure out how to use them." As the ancient ships powered up, the team felt a glimmer of hope. But the Krylos were almost here, and time was running out. Humanity's survival depended on whether they could master this alien technology, and fast. The final battle loomed on the horizon, and Ryan knew they couldn't afford to fail. The ancient ships hummed with energy, their engines glowing brighter with each passing second. Ryan stood in the docking bay, staring at the sleek vessels. They were beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Each ship seemed alive, its systems awakening after thousands of years of slumber. But as impressive as they were, Ryan knew they were useless unless someone could figure out how to control them. Emily worked tirelessly at the central console, her fingers flying over the glowing panels. She had managed to activate the fleet, but now came the hard part, understanding how to operate it. The holograms around her displayed diagrams and instructions, but the language was still a puzzle. "We need more time," she muttered under her breath, frustration creeping into her voice. Lieutenant Kate Monroe approached her, holding a small device she had found attached to one of the ships. "This might help," she said, handing it to Emily. "It looks like some kind of interface." Emily examined the device, her eyes widening as she realized what it was. "A command module," she whispered. "If I can sync this with the console, we might be able to take control." Ryan watched silently, his mind racing. The Krylos fleet was almost within striking distance. Warlord Varnok's threats echoed in his head, and he knew Earth's fate rested on what they did next. "How long will it take?" he asked, his tone firm but calm. "I don't know," Emily admitted, "but I'll do my best." As Emily connected the module to the console, the hologram shifted, displaying new information. A map of the galaxy appeared, showing the locations of planets and star systems. Among them was a red dot marking Earth, and another marking the approaching Krylos Armada. "They're close," Ryan said grimly, pointing to the screen. "Too close." Dr. Parker's voice crackled through the comms from the surface. "Ryan, we've just received intel. The Krylos have launched probes toward Earth. They're testing our defenses. If we don't act soon, they'll realize we're preparing something." Ryan clenched his fists, his jaw tightening. "Understood," he replied. Turning to Emily, he added, "We need those ships ready now." Emily nodded, her focus unwavering. She inputted commands into the console, syncing the command module with the fleet. Slowly, the ships began responding. One by one, their cockpits lit up, and their weapon systems came online. It was working, but not fast enough. Kate climbed into one of the smaller ships, inspecting its controls. "These things are incredible," she said over the comms. "The technology is way ahead of anything we've ever seen, but they're designed for someone who knows how to use them." Ryan stepped into the largest ship in the bay, the flagship. Its interior was massive, with rows of control panels and screens. In the center of the cockpit was a single seat, surrounded by glowing interfaces. As Ryan sat down, the ship responded immediately, lighting up with activity. A voice spoke directly into his mind, soft but commanding. "Commander recognized," the voice said, "awaiting orders." Ryan froze, stunned. The ship had acknowledged him as its leader. He glanced at Emily, who was still working at the console. "Did you hear that?" he asked. "No," she replied, shaking her head. "What happened?" "The ship, it talked to me," Ryan said. "It called me commander." Emily's eyes widened. "That's impossible. Unless..." She paused, thinking. Maybe the ancients programmed the fleet to recognize certain traits in humans. Leadership, courage, intelligence. Whatever it is, the ship chose you. Ryan took a deep breath, trying to steady himself. He didn't have time to question why the ship had responded to him. All that mattered was that it worked. "All right," he said, determination hardening his voice. "Let's get these ships moving." Back on the surface, Dr. Parker monitored the situation anxiously. The Krylos probes were entering Earth's atmosphere, scanning for signs of resistance. "They're going to find us," he warned. "We need to act now." Ryan gave the order. One by one, the ancient ships rose from the ocean floor, breaking through the water's surface. Their engines roared to life, casting bright beams of light across the sky. For the first time in millennia, the fleet was awake and ready to fight. But the Krylos weren't far behind. Their massive armada loomed on the horizon, a wall of steel and fire. Warlord Varnok's voice boomed once again, filled with rage. "You dare resist, then you will burn." Ryan gripped the controls of the flagship, his heart pounding. He didn't know if they could win, but he knew they had to try. "Let's show them what humanity is made of," he said, his voice steady. The battle lines were drawn. Humanity's last stand was about to begin. The sky above Earth was a battlefield waiting to happen. The ancient fleet soared into the atmosphere, their sleek forms cutting through clouds like blades. Ryan sat in the flagship's cockpit, his hands gripping the controls as the ship responded to his every command. It felt strange, unnatural, even, but there was no time to dwell on it. The Krylos Armada was closing in, their dark ships blotting out the stars. Emily and Kate were aboard separate vessels, each trying to learn how to operate them as quickly as possible. The ship's systems were intuitive, almost as if they adapted to their pilot's thoughts. Still, none of them had ever flown anything like this before. Every movement, every command was a risk. "Ryan, are you ready?" Emily's voice crackled over the comms, tense but determined. "As ready as I'll ever be," Ryan replied. He glanced at the holographic display in front of him. The Krylos fleet was less than an hour away from launching their attack. "Let's hit them before they can hit us." Dr. Parker's voice joined the channel from the surface. "Be careful. We don't know what these ships are fully capable of yet. If something goes wrong..." "We don't have a choice," Ryan interrupted. "If we wait, they'll destroy us. We have to take the fight to them." The fleet formed a tight formation, with the flagship leading the way. As they approached the moon, the Krylos scouts appeared, small but deadly ships that darted around like insects. They fired probing shots, testing the ancient fleet's defenses. Ryan didn't hesitate. "Fire back," he ordered. The flagship unleashed a burst of energy, a beam so powerful it vaporized one of the scout ships instantly. The rest scattered, retreating toward the main armada. The humans cheered, but Ryan knew this was just the beginning. The real battle was about to start. Warlord Varnok's voice thundered across space, broadcasting to both fleets. "You think your primitive tricks will stop us? You are nothing compared to the Krylos Dominion." Ryan clenched his teeth, ignoring the taunt. He focused on the task ahead. The Krylos ships began to move, forming a massive wall of steel and fire. Their weapons charged, glowing ominously against the blackness of space. "Stay close," Ryan instructed his team. "We need to work together if we're going to survive this." The first wave of Krylos fighters surged forward, firing beams of energy that lit up the void. The ancient fleet responded in kind, their weapons far more advanced than anything the aliens had seen. Explosions erupted across the battlefield, lighting up the darkness with flashes of orange and blue. Kate's ship maneuvered gracefully, dodging enemy fire while returning precise shots. "These things handle like a dream," she said, her voice filled with awe. "I've never flown anything like it." Emily struggled to keep up, her ship slower due to her inexperience. A Krylos fighter locked onto her, firing repeatedly. Her heart raced as alarms blared inside her cockpit. Just when it seemed she couldn't escape, Ryan swooped in with the flagship, intercepting the attack and destroying the enemy ship. "You okay?" Ryan asked over the comms. "I'm fine," Emily replied, her voice shaky but resolute. "Thanks." The battle raged on, each side taking heavy losses. The Krylos fleet was larger, but the ancient ships were unmatched in power and precision. Slowly, humanity began to gain ground. For the first time, hope flickered in their hearts. But then, Warlord Varnok made his move. From the center of the Krylos Armada, a massive weapon powered up. A planet-destroying cannon aimed directly at Earth. Its barrel glowed with deadly energy, preparing to unleash devastation. "We can't let them fire that thing," Ryan said, his voice urgent. "If it hits Earth, we're done for." "What do we do?" Emily asked, panic creeping into her tone. Ryan's mind raced. They needed a plan, and fast. "Kate, gather the smaller ships. We're going to hit the cannon head-on. Emily, stay behind and cover us." "Are you sure about this?" Kate asked, her voice steady despite the danger. "No," Ryan admitted, "but it's our only shot." The team moved into position, their ships forming a wedge aimed straight at the Krylos weapon. As they charged forward, Ryan felt a surge of determination. Humanity had been pushed to the brink, but they weren't going down without a fight. The final clash was about to begin. and the fate of Earth hung in the balance. The ancient fleet surged forward, their engines roaring with power as they closed in on the Krylos Armada. Ryan's flagship led the charge, its weapons blazing as it carved through enemy fighters. Explosions lit up the void of space, each blast a reminder of how close humanity was to destruction. Behind him, Kate and the smaller ships formed a tight formation, their movements precise despite the chaos around them. Emily stayed back, her ship hovering near the edge of the battlefield. She wasn't a fighter, she never had been, but she knew her role. Using the flagship's sensors, she scanned the Krylos weapon, searching for any weaknesses. Her hands trembled as she worked, but her focus never wavered. "I need more time," she muttered to herself, her eyes glued to the glowing cannon that threatened Earth. Warlord Varnok's voice boomed across the comms, mocking and cruel. "You think your toys can stop us? You are nothing but insects beneath my heel." Ryan ignored the taunt. He couldn't afford distractions, not now. The Krylos weapon was almost ready to fire, its energy building to a deadly crescendo. If they didn't act soon, Earth would be reduced to ashes. "Kate, move in closer," Ryan ordered. "We need to draw their attention away from the cannon." "Copy that," Kate replied, her voice calm despite the danger. She guided her ship toward the massive Krylos vessel, firing bursts of energy to distract the enemy. The aliens responded immediately, sending waves of fighters to intercept her. The smaller ships scattered, weaving through the chaos like birds dodging predators. Meanwhile, Emily's scans revealed something crucial. "Ryan, I found it," she exclaimed over the comms. "The cannon has a weak point, right at its base. If we can hit it there, we might disable it." Ryan nodded, even though no one could see him. "Understood. Kate, cover me. I'm going in." "You got it," Kate said, her tone steady. She turned her ship sharply, drawing fire from the Krylos fighters and giving Ryan a clear path to the weapon. The flagship raced toward the glowing cannon, dodging beams of energy that streaked past like lightning. Ryan's heart pounded as he lined up the shot. "Come on," he whispered, his fingers tightening on the controls. The ship's weapons charged, glowing brighter with each passing second. Just as Ryan prepared to fire, a massive Krylos warship appeared directly in his path. Its size dwarfed the flagship, and its weapons locked onto Ryan's position. Alarms blared inside the cockpit, warning of imminent danger. "Ryan, behind you," Emily shouted, panic breaking through her usual calm. "I see it," Ryan replied, his voice tense. He pulled the flagship into a steep dive, narrowly avoiding a barrage of enemy fire. The Krylos warship pursued him, relentless and unforgiving. "Let me handle this," Kate said, her voice cutting through the chaos. She broke off from her group and sped toward the warship, firing everything she had. Her ship darted around the enemy vessel, drawing its attention and giving Ryan another chance to reach the cannon. Ryan seized the opportunity. With Kate distracting the warship, he aimed the flagship's weapons at the glowing base of the Krylos weapon. "This is it," he said under his breath. He pulled the trigger. A beam of pure energy shot out from the flagship, striking the cannon's weak point. The weapon shuddered, its glow flickering as if fighting to stay alive. Then, with a deafening roar, it exploded in a burst of light and debris. "Yes," Emily cried, relief flooding her voice. "It's down." But the battle wasn't over yet. The Krylos fleet regrouped, their forces still overwhelming. Warlord Varnok's voice thundered once again. "You may have destroyed my weapon, but you cannot defeat me. Surrender now or face annihilation." Ryan clenched his jaw. They had bought themselves some time, but the Krylos weren't done. Humanity's fight for survival was far from finished. "We're not giving up," Ryan said firmly. "Not now. Not ever." As the ancient fleet prepared for the next wave of attacks, Ryan felt a spark of hope. They had proven they could fight back against the Krylos, and as long as they stood together, they had a chance to win. The explosion of the Krylos weapon sent shockwaves through space, scattering debris and forcing both fleets to regroup. Ryan's flagship hovered near the edge of the battlefield, its systems humming as it recovered from the intense attack. The humans had won a small victory, but the battle was far from over. The Krylos fleet still outnumbered them, and Warlord Varnak's fury burned brighter than ever. "We've got their attention," Kate said over the comms, her voice steady despite the tension. "But we need a plan if we're going to finish this." Ryan nodded, his mind racing. They had disabled the planet-destroying cannon, but the Krylos armada was still a formidable force. Their ships were larger, tougher, and bristling with weapons that could tear through Earth's defenses in moments. Humanity needed more than just courage. They needed strategy. Emily spoke up, her tone urgent. "I've been studying the scans of the Krylos ships. Their shields are strong, but they have a pattern. They pulse every few minutes. If we can time our attacks right, we might be able to break through." "That's good work," Ryan replied, his voice firm. "Kate, coordinate with the other pilots. We'll get them hard when their shields drop." "Got it," Kate said. She relayed the plan to the smaller ships, her calm demeanor helping to steady the nerves of the inexperienced pilots. Together, they formed a tight formation, ready to strike at the right moment. Meanwhile, Dr. Parker's voice crackled through the comms from Earth. "Ryan, there's something you need to know. The ancient texts mention a weakness in the Krylos command structure. If you can take out Warlord Varnak, their entire fleet will fall into disarray." Ryan frowned. "How do we get to him?" "His ship is at the center of the armada, surrounded by guards." "I don't know," Dr. Parker admitted, "but it's your best shot. Without him, the Krylos won't know how to respond." Ryan took a deep breath. It was risky, but it was also their only chance. "All right," he said. "Here's what we're going to do. Kate, gather a team of fighters. You'll lead a diversionary attack to draw their forces away from Varnak's ship. Emily, stay back and provide support. I'll take the flagship straight for Varnak." "Are you sure about this?" Emily asked, her voice tinged with worry. "No," Ryan admitted, "but we don't have another option." The plan was set in motion. Kate and her squadron surged forward, firing wildly at the Krylos ships. Their movements were erratic, designed to confuse and distract. As expected, the enemy fleet turned their attention to the smaller ships, leaving a narrow path open toward Varnak's vessel. Ryan didn't hesitate. He pushed the flagship to its limits, speeding through the gap while the Krylos were occupied. Explosions erupted around him as stray shots narrowly missed the ship. Alarms blared inside the cockpit, warning of incoming fire, but Ryan ignored them. His focus was on one thing: reaching Varnak. Behind him, Emily worked tirelessly to protect the flagship. She used the sensors to track enemy movements, guiding Ryan away from danger. "You're almost there," she said over the comms, her voice strained but determined. "Just a little farther." As Ryan approached Varnak's ship, the warlord's voice thundered across the battlefield. "You dare challenge me, then you will die." Ryan gritted his teeth. Not today. The flagship unleashed a barrage of energy blasts, striking Varnak's ship with precision. The Krylos vessel shuddered under the assault, its shields flickering. Finally, with one last powerful shot, the shields collapsed, leaving the massive ship vulnerable. Inside the cockpit, Ryan felt a surge of hope. They were close, so close to ending this. But Varnak wasn't done yet. The warlord launched a counterattack, sending waves of fighters to intercept the flagship. "Hold on," Ryan muttered, gripping the controls tightly. "We're not done yet." As the battle raged on, humanity's fate hung in the balance. Ryan knew they couldn't afford to fail. Not now. With Kate's team holding off the enemy and Emily providing crucial support, he prepared for the final push. The fight against the Krylos was far from over. But for the first time, Ryan believed they might actually win. The flagship trembled as it absorbed hit after hit from the Krylos fighters. Ryan clenched his teeth, sweat dripping down his face as he maneuvered the ancient ship closer to Varnak's massive vessel. The warlord's forces swarmed around him like angry hornets, their weapons firing relentlessly. But Ryan didn't flinch. He had one goal: to reach Varnock, and nothing would stop him. "Ryan, you're taking too much damage." Emily's voice crackled over the comms, her tone laced with worry. "You need to pull back." "No," Ryan replied firmly. "We don't have time. If we let Varnock regroup, we'll lose our chance." Kate and her team were still holding off the enemy fighters, their smaller ships darting through the chaos with incredible skill. Explosions lit up the void of space as they traded fire with the Krylos, buying Ryan precious seconds to close in on his target. But even Kate's squadron was starting to feel the strain. "We can't keep this up forever," Kate shouted over the comms. Her voice was calm, but urgent. "Hurry, Ryan." "I'm almost there," Ryan said, his focus unwavering. He guided the flagship through a hail of enemy fire, dodging beams of energy that streaked past like deadly lightning bolts. The ship's systems groaned under the pressure, but the ancient technology held firm. Finally, he reached Varnock's vessel, its massive frame looming ahead like a mountain of steel. Warlord Varnock's voice thundered across the battlefield. "You think you can defeat me? You are nothing but insects." Ryan ignored the taunt. He lined up the flagship's weapons, targeting the heart of Varnock's ship. The flagship's cannons charged, glowing brighter with each passing second. Then, with a deafening roar, Ryan unleashed a barrage of energy blasts. The shots struck true, tearing through the weakened hull of Varnock's vessel. Inside the cockpit, Ryan felt a surge of triumph. But it was short-lived. Varnock's ship wasn't destroyed yet. Instead, the warlord launched a desperate counterattack, sending smaller ships to ram the flagship. Ryan's alarms blared as the enemy closed in. "Emily, I need your help," Ryan shouted over the comms. "Can you disable their engines?" "I'll try," Emily replied. She worked furiously at her console, scanning for vulnerabilities in the enemy ships. After a tense moment, she found what she was looking for. "Got it. Sending coordinates now." Ryan received the data and adjusted his aim. With precise shots, he targeted the engines of the incoming ships, disabling them one by one. The flagship shook violently as debris from the explosions rained down around it, but Ryan held steady. Meanwhile, Kate and her team pressed their attack, drawing more of the Krylos forces away from Varnock's ship. Their bravery gave Ryan the opening he needed. He pushed the flagship forward, closing the final distance to Varnock's command center. Inside the warlord's vessel, Varnock roared with fury. His red eyes burned with hatred as he prepared for a last-ditch effort to destroy the flagship. He activated a hidden weapon, a swarm of drones armed with explosives, sending them hurtling toward Ryan's ship. "Drone attack incoming," Emily warned, her voice rising with panic. Ryan reacted instantly. He used the flagship's advanced defenses to intercept the drones, blasting them out of the sky before they could reach him. The ship's systems screamed in protest, but Ryan pushed them to their limits. Finally, the last drone exploded in a burst of light. With the path clear, Ryan made his move. He fired one final shot at Varnock's ship, aiming directly at its core. The blast tore through the vessel, igniting a chain reaction that engulfed the entire ship in flames. A massive explosion followed, sending shockwaves rippling through space. "It's done," Ryan whispered, relief washing over him. Warlord Varnock was gone. But the battle wasn't over yet. The remaining Krylos ships began to retreat, their formations breaking apart without their leader. Humanity had won, for now, but the cost had been high. The ancient fleet was battered, and many of Earth's defenders had fallen. As the dust settled, Ryan leaned back in his seat, exhaustion overtaking him. They had faced impossible odds and emerged victorious. But as he looked out at the stars, he knew the galaxy still held dangers. This was only the beginning. "We did it," Emily said softly over the comms, her voice filled with awe. "We actually did it." Ryan nodded, though no one could see him. "Yeah," he said quietly. But we're not done yet. The explosion of Varnok's ship lit up the battlefield like a second sun. The massive vessel shattered into pieces, its fiery remains drifting through space. The Krylos fleet, once a unified and terrifying force, began to scatter. Without their warlord to command them, the aliens faltered, their ships retreating in disarray. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, the humans allowed themselves a moment of relief. Ryan sat in the flagship's cockpit, his hands trembling as he finally released the controls. The adrenaline that had kept him going was fading, leaving behind exhaustion and pain. He glanced at the holographic display in front of him. The Krylos ships were pulling back, their weapons silent. It was over, at least for now. "Ryan, are you okay?" Emily's voice came over the comms, soft but urgent. "I'm fine," Ryan replied, though his voice was hoarse. "Just tired." "You did it," Emily said, her tone filled with awe. "You stopped them." "It wasn't just me," Ryan said, shaking his head. "It was all of us. Kate, you, Dr. Parker, everyone." Kate chimed in, her voice steady despite the chaos they had just endured. "We couldn't have done it without you, Ryan. You led us when no one else could." Ryan didn't respond. His mind was still processing everything that had happened. They had faced an enemy that seemed unbeatable, fought battles that should have been impossible to win, and somehow emerged victorious. But the cost weighed heavily on him. Too many lives had been lost, too many sacrifices made. As the remaining Krylos ships disappeared into the void, the ancient fleet regrouped. The ships glowed faintly, their systems stabilizing after the intense battle. Emily worked tirelessly to assess the damage, her fingers flying over the console. "Most of the fleet is still operational," she reported, "but we'll need time to repair the flagship. It took a lot of hits." "We'll get it done," Ryan said firmly. "We don't know if the Krylos will come back, or if there are other threats out there. We need to be ready." Dr. Parker's voice crackled through the comms from Earth. "Ryan, this is incredible. You've given humanity a fighting chance, but we need to learn more about these ships and the ancients who built them. This isn't just about survival anymore. It's about understanding our place in the galaxy." Ryan nodded, even though no one could see him. "Understood. We'll figure it out." For now, though, there was a moment of quiet. The humans gathered aboard the flagship, their faces marked by exhaustion, but also triumph. They had faced the greatest threat Earth had ever known, and they had won. The weight of what they had accomplished settled over them, a mixture of pride and disbelief. But Warlord Varnok's final words echoed in Ryan's mind. "You think this is over? This is only the beginning." Ryan knew the Warlord was right. The Krylos might return, or another enemy could rise to take their place. Humanity had awakened a power that could protect the galaxy, but it also made them a target. As the fleet began its journey back toward Earth, Ryan stared out at the stars. The galaxy was vast and full of mysteries, some beautiful and others dangerous. Humanity had taken its first steps into the unknown, and there was no turning back. "We've got a long road ahead of us," Ryan said quietly, "but we'll face it together." Emily smiled faintly, her eyes reflecting the glow of the stars. "Together," she agreed. The ancient fleet soared through space, its ships shining like beacons of hope against the darkness. Humanity had proven they could fight for their survival, and for the future of the galaxy. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would meet them head-on. And for the first time in a long time, Ryan felt a spark of optimism. They had survived the impossible. Maybe, just maybe, they could do it again. The ancient fleet returned to Earth as heroes. Their arrival was met with cheers and tears from a world that had faced the brink of destruction. People gathered in streets and squares, watching as the sleek ships descended through the atmosphere, their glowing forms casting light over cities still scared by fear. Ryan stood at the helm of the flagship, his heart heavy but hopeful. Humanity had survived, but the scars of battle would linger for years. Emily and Kate joined him on the bridge, their faces reflecting both exhaustion and pride. "We did it," Emily said softly, her voice trembling with emotion. "We actually saved Earth." "We couldn't have done it without you," Kate added, looking at Ryan. "You kept us together when everything seemed lost." Ryan shook his head. "This wasn't about me. It was about all of us. Humanity came together when it mattered most." Dr. Parker greeted them as they landed, his eyes wide with awe as he inspected the ancient ships. "These vessels are more than weapons," he said. "They're a legacy. A reminder that humanity isn't alone, and that we have a role to play in the galaxy." Over the following weeks, the world began to heal. Governments worked together to rebuild cities and strengthen Earth's defenses. Scientists studied the ancient fleet, uncovering secrets about its creators and their technology. The ancients, it seemed, had been a powerful civilization that once protected the galaxy, but they had vanished mysteriously. Humanity now carried their torch. Ryan became a symbol of hope, leading efforts to unite Earth's nations under a single banner. He argued that humanity's survival depended on cooperation, not division. "We've seen what happens when we fight among ourselves," he told world leaders. "If we want to protect our future, we need to stand together." Emily continued her research, determined to unlock the full potential of the ancient fleet. She discovered blueprints for new ships and technologies that could revolutionize life on Earth and beyond. Her work inspired others to dream of exploration, of venturing into the stars not just to survive, but to thrive. Kate trained pilots to fly the ancient ships, teaching them how to harness their incredible power. "These aren't just machines," she told her students. "They're tools to protect what matters. Never forget why we fought." As the months passed, humanity began reaching out to other species across the galaxy. Refugees from planets conquered by the Krylos sought shelter on Earth, and alliances were forged. For the first time, humans saw themselves not as inhabitants of a single planet, but as part of something greater. But Ryan knew the galaxy was vast and dangerous. The Krylos might return, or another threat could emerge. To prepare, he oversaw the construction of new ships based on the ancients' designs. The flagship, Aegis, remained the heart of the fleet, its systems upgraded and ready for whatever lay ahead. One evening, Ryan stood on a hill overlooking the ocean, the stars twinkling above him. Emily joined him, holding a tablet filled with data from her latest discoveries. "What happens next?" she asked, her voice quiet but curious. "We keep going," Ryan replied, his gaze fixed on the horizon. "We explore, we learn, and we protect. This is just the beginning." Emily smiled faintly. "You really believe that, don't you?" "I have to," Ryan said, "because if we stop, if we give up, then everything we fought for will be wasted." Together, they watched as the first of the new ships launched into space, its engines blazing like a beacon of hope. Humanity had taken its place among the stars, ready to face whatever challenges awaited them. The galaxy was no longer a distant mystery, it was home. And for the first time, Ryan felt truly at peace. They had survived the impossible. Now, they would build a future worth fighting for.